Hello again, this is ReimuA, and I'm going to show off my 1 credit clear of normal mode on Perfect Cherry Blossom. So this is my first 1 credit clear on normal mode for any Touhou game, and I'm pretty proud of it, at least that I was able to get this far. This is nothing compared to a super play, score run, or anything like that. But if you're interested in following and doing the same thing I did, hopefully I can provide some help. So, and if not, hopefully I can provide some entertainment. So here's my 1cc, normal mode, ReimuA. Start with stage 1. So if you've played Touhou before, probably the first thing you'll notice is I'm playing with 5 lives instead of the normal 3. And 5 is the max amount allowed in a Touhou game. And I just did this because when I read a walkthrough for how to beat a Touhou game, it said just go ahead and use the max number of lives and don't worry about people who say like it's not actually 1cc'ing the game, because it is. And these games are hard. They're hard enough already. So if you, on that same note, if you haven't played a Touhou game before, probably the first thing you'll notice is that I'm not getting massacred by swarms of bullets yet. Since this is the first stage and even the second stage, there's not going to be too many bullets, and it sort of starts up in the 3rd stage. If you want to skip to that, I don't blame you. There goes Cerno. She's the strongest, but anyway, that's her major role in this game. In Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, the game before this, she's the 2nd stage boss, but I guess she gets demoted in this one. So, the red boxes that I'm collecting are power-up pellets, power-up orbs, and you'll see on the right side I've got 113 power. That's pretty good. My goal in the first couple stages is to get to max power as quickly as possible to make fighting bosses and even stronger mooks easier. So this is Lady Whiterock, and she's the Fairy of Winter, or so I've heard. That's sort of an informed ability, which most characters have something like, this is the Fairy of Spring, this is the, Reimu's a Shrine Maiden, Marisa's a Magician. In Touhou, pretty much all they do is shoot bullets. Although they do it in unique and interesting ways, like Letty's little green birds she just shot, or her sort of star pattern Danmaku, or in other words, her bullets, which will show up in a minute. So, the plot behind this game is basically winter has gone on for a long time, like well into when you'd normally expect spring to arrive. And so Reimu sets out to investigate because she sees cherry blossom petals falling. And so she's following the cherry blossoms, hence the name of the game. And in the lower left corner, it's a bit, well, in the lower left corner, there we go, you can see my cherry count. The bottom number is for score, the number on top, the plus, counts toward when I get a supernatural border. And those are exceptionally useful because a supernatural border will allow me to take a hit without dying. Or I can expend it like a bomb to clear the bullets on screen. So it only lasts for a short while, and I get it once I reach 50,000. So, moving on, the reason I'm playing Reimu instead of Marisa or Sakuya in this game is because, and there's my supernatural border, Reimu is probably the easiest for a new player like myself. So, here's the mini-boss Chen Yakumo. She doesn't do very much, but these green bullets that she's shooting threw me for a loop. Actually, the first time I played this game, those green bullet patterns were no problem at all. It was only after my first playthrough that I started actually dying to those, which I attribute to beginner's luck. And this spell card, Phoenix Egg, is kind of interesting. Or maybe I'm not thinking of Phoenix Egg. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I was thinking of something else. Never mind. Ignore that spell card. Anyway, back to me talking about ReimuA, because there's really nothing interesting that's going to happen for the first 2 stages. But except for me losing a life, which is very unfortunate. I probably kicked myself at the time. And anyway, max power is 127, so I'm almost there. And I was saying the reason I picked ReimuA, okay, it's 128. The reason I picked ReimuA is because I think she's the easiest for new players. Her bullets are homing, at least the ones that are shot out by her yin-yang orbs are homing. The red cards that she's shooting are not homing, and so I try to stay in front of bosses as much as I can. But even if I can't, I know I'm still dealing damage. Also, ReimuA has the smallest hitbox, or in other words, she has a smaller hitbox than any other character, who I think everyone else has the same size, which is basically about the size of the dot that's on ReimuA's back right now, because I'm focused. So this, I'll come back and talk about this spell card in a second, but suffice it to say that when it curves, that threw me for a loop for a while. I had to figure out how to dodge between the curving bullets. And anyway, the third thing about ReimuA, and the reason that I like playing her, is because every character has a set number of bombs, and ReimuA's is the same. But the thing in this game is that you can bomb even after you've been hit by a bullet for about 1/10 of a second, and that's called the border of life and death. But ReimuA can bomb for 1/3 of a second after she gets hit by a bomb. So if I see a bullet coming toward me, then I want to use a bomb. But how do I put this? With my slow reflexes, it's easier for me to bomb in the border of life and death with ReimuA than with anyone else. And that has saved my life a lot. Like, now that I'm playing Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, I really miss the border of life and death, since it's not in that game. So anyway, that's why I'm playing ReimuA, and that's why I'm using the homing amulet version of ReimuA instead of her ceiling pin, which deal much more damage but only go in a straight line. So now we're on to stage 3. I've got max power. I've defeated Chen, and got a supernatural border. So here comes Alice Margatroyd, the doll user. Her first non-spell is not much to talk about. Just go between the bullets. And I think there's a safe spot next to her, but when I've tried to use it, I died. So I can't get it consistently enough to stick with it. Looks like I panic bombed there, because normally I don't do that. And anyway, so this stage is Fairies and Alice. Once again, her non-spell is not much to talk about. So I'll explain a little bit more about the right side of the screen. You'll see I've got Graze. Graze is something you collect when a bullet goes through your character's sprite or is very close to you, but doesn't actually hit you. And that adds to your score. Points are the blue little boxes that I collect, and also the the pink boxes, which are supposedly cherry blossoms. And so I don't really play for score, but it is something I keep in mind, because every so many points you get an extra stock, up to a maximum of 5, which is why I have more now than when I started. So let's see. Alice is a character that's actually from a previous game. She was in one of the Windows 98 Toho games, and was the stage 4, I think, fourth stage boss, and also the extra stage boss. But once again, she's been downgraded, probably because she's not fighting seriously. So this spell card, Benevolent French Dolls, is interesting in that if you are in the right position, then a path just opens up in front of you, like in that second onslaught there. And if you're not, then the bullets are crazy. I'm not exactly, I'm not consistent with getting in the right position yet, so I just have to dodge there. Anyway, red-haired Dutch dolls, this is a really easy pattern. There's not much worth talking about here because of the giant gaps between the bullet clusters. And I got another supernatural border, which is nice. I don't normally expend them to clear the bombs on the screen. I don't know if I'll do that in this run at all, but sometimes I do. But it's nice to just keep it around, and just in case I get hit, I don't have to worry about it. And if I don't, then I get a nice score bonus. So, Foggy London dolls. This threw me for a loop for a while before I got used to it, but it's basically just dodging between the bullets. There we go. And now the more challenging Curse Spell Eerie Luminous dolls. So now I've got to dodge between the bullets and also avoid the giant balls that are aimed directly at me, or half the time they're aimed at me. So there's a way to set this up to where basically it's called misdirection. You make the giant ball bullets that are aimed at you go way past you, and I'm not perfect at that yet, so it's sometimes even still I'll die to that spell card. Anyway, on to stage 4. This is known as one of the longest stages in all of Touhou, and one of the most challenging. Well, on Lunatic anyway. On normal mode, significantly less so. Basically, the key to surviving this stage is streaming, which is where or I could say the entire stage is streaming, which is where bullets that are aimed at you, by moving just a little bit, like I'm moving slightly to the left here, you can make the bullets bullet swarms entirely miss you. So all of the bullets in stage, not all the bullets, almost every bullet in stage 4 is aimed at me, so I can stream past them. So, like for example, even though there's 5 directions of bullets coming out of the fairies here, one of them is aimed directly at me. So just by going up or down a little bit, I dodge it. And so basically my strategy for stage 4 is to start on one side and slowly move my way to the other, and then go back. Unfortunately, at the very beginning of the stage, I had to use a border to avoid dying, but I'm doing better now. So, coming up next, I think, is the mini-boss? No, more streaming. And you might notice that some of these waves of bullets are really slow, and some of them are really fast, and I've gotten tripped up by that a couple times. Here we go, Lily White, the harbinger of spring, except the only way she knows how to announce spring is with Danmaku. So, there we go. Even though I'm moving way to the left and right here, I have in the past just been able to dodge those bullets coming down the middle by moving a little bit to the left and then a little bit to the right, and they'll just go completely past you. Unfortunately, I used a bomb there again, and that's just another panic bomb, which is going to be every bomb that I use. But on the plus side, my stock count is maxed, and well, I'll say that even though it looks like I have a lot of stocks, those can go down very quickly, since you die whenever you get hit by a bullet. And a better way to think about it in terms of survival, for me, is to think about each stock as a container of 3 or so bombs. Or is it 2? Since you get 3 bombs each time you lose a life. So if you're good enough to bomb before dying, like I was not earlier, then instead of 8 stocks, you have like 24 lives. And by the way, here's a second mid-boss for this level, just because. And unfortunately, I tend to bomb before the end of the mid-boss a lot, because I just get overwhelmed by the last wave. But here I was lucky enough not to dodge correctly, and I didn't have to do that. So the end of stage 4, we've arrived at a boundary, which is in the background, and these musicians show up just to say hi, and because it's Toho, we're going to have a Danmaku battle. So this spell card is really weird. Obviously the bullets try to box me in, and then I have to dodge left and right, and up and down in this tiny confined space, while the bullets will come toward me. Or I should say the ones on the right move left and vice versa. I still do not know if there's a safe way to take that spell other than just dodging in the confined space, and it's kind of frustrating. So we're on our next spell, non-spell, which will be done in a second. This was originally challenging for me, but it's with a little practice, it's very easy. Now her second spell card. This one feels like it should be simple, because all you have to do really is stream the arrow bullets while moving through the bullets that are creating walls like that. But I have died to that too many times for me to say it's actually easy. Her next non-spell, this one is slightly denser but also simple. And I want to say it's easy. I've also died to this a few times. So with more practice, it's easy. I'll say that. Alright, so what's this? Oh yeah, so this is a really weird, sort of interesting spell. Obviously, the notes turn into bullets that are aimed at me. But if you stand on top of a note, or if you fly over a note, I should say, it'll disappear without exploding. Sometimes. If I could figure out what would cause it, I feel like I could make that spell easier to manage. But just dodging is fairly easy. And so here's another spell. At first I thought you could only shoot Lyrica, who's in the middle, but it turns out you can shoot any of them, and their health bar will go down just as fast, which is really convenient, because it's much easier to dodge from the left or the right side than from the middle. Also, there's 3 Prismism Sisters, and there's 3 main protagonists. Depending on which protagonist you come here with, a different sister will fight you for the first couple spells. And since I've only done this with Reimu, I only know how to dodge the Reimu spell cards, and I get wrecked by the other ones. Unfortunately, I died again there, and this is sort of easy, but also sort of challenging. There's big clumps of bullets, but there's somewhat spacious areas to dodge between them, although it can get really tight, which is how I ended up losing my stock there. Stage 5. So now we have traveled to the Netherworld following the cherry blossoms. Ooh, that was close. And we're being shot at by the spirits of the dead. And so that's Reimu's bomb. I might have mentioned that earlier, but I use it too rarely, so it's easy to forget. And this is kinda sorta streaming. It's very easy to dodge because there's big spaces between the bullets. And so I'm actually positioning myself here based on memory so that my bullets will hit the fairies coming down before they can release bullets, which makes it easier for me to dodge since only half the screen has bullets on it. And you might have noticed I was doing that last stage as well with the fairies coming down. But anyway, in a second ReimuA will show up. Or maybe more fairies. That's actually very easy to dodge, but again, I have died there. I think I've died just about everywhere. Anyway, so I'm at a safe spot, sort of. If you start out above her, she aims those bullets up. So she always aims them in the direction you're facing, and you can get behind her. That said, while this part of the spell is easy to dodge, or the non-spell is easy to dodge, I'll come back to that. She'll do it again later. There we go. So that's actually her slowing down the screen, just to be nice, I guess. And it really is nice. What you have to do, and what I failed to do, is to basically get past the first wave during the slowdown, and then it'll be easier to get past the second. It'll be fairly easy to get past the second and third wave. And did I really 1cc this? I'm doing really badly. Anyway. This is a static pattern. It's aimed at you, but it doesn't change. There's no randomness. That said, I have still lost a stock to that pattern. It's hard. Well, at least it's hard for me. But anyway, yeah, just dodge between the bullets and then move forward when I'm able to. So, ReimuA is half human, half ghost. Her ghost is shooting giant bullets, and she turns them into random bullets. Great. And then she slows down time so that I can get between her random bullets. If possible. Just like that. And then I get hit by a little one. So, if you haven't seen these giant bullets before, they're a bit challenging to dodge because their hitboxes are not round. Their hitboxes are squares. So depending on the direction you come at them, you can get wrecked if you try to graze them a bit. So here's another non-spell that completely wrecked me the first couple times I faced it, because those daggers make it impossible to get in the middle of the final wave. You have to dodge through the more densely packed part. And for the next minute, feel free to look away from the screen, get a sandwich, do something else, because this is a safe spot, and so I'm not going to move. Okay, well, I'll talk a bit. So the part of the plot we've gotten to now is ReimuA is the gardener for the princess of the Netherworld. So we come in, ReimuA sees us, she asks us to leave politely. Just kidding. So here's an interesting spell card. The first time you fight it, she creates bullets at the bottom of the screen that shoot up, which is a heck of a thing to try and look at for a newbie like me. And then she creates bullets that are aimed at you and also block your escape route. I'm really sad that I hit that. This is another one that I was able to do perfectly the first time I saw it, and then started losing it the next couple times I saw it. But the bullets are fairly easy to dodge. The trick is not getting hit by a bullet that's hidden behind another bullet. This one is challenging though. You've got to rush forward during the slow spot and try not to get hit, as always. And that's easier said than done. Like, there's a wall in front of me right there. I actually have to wait for the bullets to clear. If you are behind the bullets when they speed back up, you will likely die. I'm speaking from experience, of course. Case in point. Alright, so I'm going into the last stage with 4 lives and 3 bombs. I feel pretty good at this point. Like, previously when I've gotten here, I've had maybe 2 stocks, 3 stocks. I've come here with 4 or even 5 before and lost, but you know, hope springs eternal. And so the fairies here are just shooting, or I should say the dead spirits I'm fighting now, just fill the screen with bullets, and then they disappear when ReimuA enters, which makes it really simple. Once again, I go for the sweet spot, but it doesn't work here. And so I have to burn a border on getting hit by a bullet there. Okay. So the red bullets try to block you, wall you out, while the blue bullets are actually aimed at you there. So here, ReimuA fakes you out by looking like she's going to slow down time, but she actually doesn't. It's okay, this is easy to dodge, or so I say. 80% of the time I can dodge that without having to bomb. And I get another bomb after I'm done, so that's nice. And so here's Yuyuko Saigyoguchi, the final boss of Perfect Cherry Blossom. She's tough. And basically, her plot is, we're collecting spring from Genseoko, the place where ReimuA's from, in order to make it bloom, because it never blooms. And that's the tree in the background. So this is a spell card where basically you gotta dodge between the bullets, otherwise the giant beam is gonna hit you. And the longer you go on, the closer the beam gets to the other side of the screen. Luckily there's some nice gaps in the bullets that are fairly easy to get between. So this non-spell, you dodge between the giant balls while the smaller bullets wall you out and prevent you from moving around. Unless you can squeeze between them like that. I was not supposed to get hit there. But, oh well. With ReimuA A, it's not such a big deal, because I've got the homing bullets. With other characters, you gotta stay in the middle more. Once again, that's why I like ReimuA A. So here's a spell card that I thought was pretty much impossible the first time I saw it. You have to dodge between these butterflies that fill up the screen while the giant ball down Maku are aimed at you. So, I thought it was impossible, but it's slightly easier than it looks. Slightly. Alright, here's a spell that's harder than it looks. So, the slow-moving ball down Maku are coming forward, and you have to move between them, while dodging the dagger down Maku, which are bigger than they appear. like probably the entire white space is a hitbox on those. And I'm pretty sure they curve towards you. At the very least, they've got to be aimed toward you. So there's so many times when I thought, oh, I've gotten away from one, I'm far enough away, it won't hit me, only to be hit by the last dagger in the stream. On the swallowtail butterfly, there's another one that I thought was impossible the first time I saw it. You have to dodge between the giant balls of Danmaku while being chased by that. And, oh yeah, if you touch those streams at any point, you die. Unless you're bombing. Anyway, it turns out that the ball Danmaku are moving slowly enough that I was able to get between them. Most of the time. So, I'm dying a lot, but I consider it I'm new enough that I consider it a victory if I'm able to use all my bombs before dying. Here's a non-spell that looks weird, but is actually really simple. The light blue walls you out, the dark blue is aimed at you. So all you have to do is stream it. Okay. Repository of the Hirokawa Ghost. This spell is a little bit crazy. You've got to dodge these butterflies, which is kind of hard to see where they're going, and in the meantime, those other groups of butterflies are aimed directly at you. I might have to bomb here again. Yep. And that was an example of me using the border of life and death and bombing after I got hit. Just barely. Alright. So maybe I should also mention that part of the reason that Reimu's fighting Yuyuko is because not only is Yuyuko stealing spring from Gensioko to make her Saigyoji cherry blossom tree bloom, but also there's a ghost, there's a body buried beneath the Saigyoji that'll get resurrected if it blooms. And Reimu says, bodies are usually buried for a reason, so let's not do that. Anyway, so this spell card is it's kind of interesting. You have to dodge the petal Danmaku, of course, and then the butterflies are aimed at you. And the thing about the butterflies is the blue ones have a space where a free space on the left, and the purple ones have a free space on the right. So I was able to get through that. I had to bomb, unfortunately, but anyway, I've taken out Yuyuko. And now she's resurrecting because she's a ghost. And so this is one of Touhou's famous survival spell cards. I can't shoot her, I can't lower her health bar in any way. I just have to dodge for the next minute. To aid in that, I get a bunch of cherry blossoms to help me get a supernatural border, and a few bombs. I haven't completely figured out the red butterflies, whether they're aimed at you or not. Sometimes they're easy to dodge, and sometimes I get hit in the face. Almost there. And I decide to bomb here because I've lost so many times right before the finish. Like a couple of tries ago, I lost my last stock with 3 bombs at 7 seconds, and I was so frustrated. But I won! And that's the end of Perfect Cherry Blossom. And, or at least that's the end of normal mode. There's a hard mode and a lunatic mode with even more bullets and different spell cards. And there's an extra mode, which has a different storyline. But the difficulty of extra mode is somewhere between between hard and lunatic. So I'm not quite ready for that yet. Anyway, so I'll end this commentary there. Thanks for watching. That's all for now.